Yeah.
So hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session and the final session of the Marana Women's Network. We're very excited to have with us Farah Doudou, who is a very close friend of Duarte Tech and has been with us for a couple of other programs. So we're really excited to have her here with our first Pan-African program. Farah is the co-founder and creative director of FADA agency based here in Morocco. But is also an e-learning specialist, a coach and a mentor, and just an overall, I would like to say, energizer in the field of digital marketing and design. So we're really excited for her to be here with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Faye. Thank you all for coming for today's session on marketing, on digital marketing for businesses. I'm very happy to be here with you. As Faye said, I co-founded the agency FADA. So it's a design agency. We're specialized in branding and designing digital and also print, visual identities for our clients. We make sure that everything that our clients do online is beautiful, is meaningful, and in value, in aligned with their values. So that's a part of what I do, and from that, I'm also with the Duarte Tech team, and I'm all for giving back to the community, sharing what I know. I also teach digital marketing and graphic design. So whenever you feel like you have a question, even later on, you could always shoot me an email, and I'll make sure to reply for your question. All right, so without any further ado, I would like to present you today with the ABCs of digital marketing for businesses. Oh yeah, just before I move on, these are just the social media handles. If you want to get to know about what we do at FADA and see the kind of work and clients that we work with and help. So yeah. Oh, I thought it was a good one. Okay. Does anyone has a question? No? Okay. Cool. All right. So this is Aisha Abouhesh. She's an artist and illustrator. She's the co-founder of FADA, so two women. Yeah, we just decided to team up and get our own agency so that we can serve in the best possible way and create even more astonishing designs together. All right. So, you know, when we talk about marketing, digital marketing, it's like Faye was saying at first, it's very broad. It can mean how you communicate. It can mean what kind of content that you make online. It can mean advertising online, social media, blogs, websites. So it's a lot of things in the digital marketing field that we can refer to when we're talking about it. So sometimes, and I'm asking you this, do you feel like Samir? Because Samir is a young entrepreneur who's just starting out his own venture. And, you know, he has to make choices for his online business. And there's so many things going on that, you know, he kind of, he doesn't know where to start, right? He's a bit confused. Do I launch my business on Instagram, or do I, you know, have a Facebook page, or do I need a LinkedIn account? So all of these questions, we will focus on them today, but also how to set up a campaign on social media, which social media is best to use for your business, and so on. So this is what we'll be talking about today. And if you feel like Samir, don't worry, you'll find answers and be less confused, hopefully, by the end of this presentation. So like Eric Wellman said, so Eric Wellman has a deep knowledge on digital marketing and marketing in a broad sense, and he's the author of many interesting books. So I advise you to look up his books, super duper interesting content. He says we don't have a choice on whether we do social media. The question is, how well do we do it? Yeah, because, well, you know, back in the days, if you wanted to advertise for a product, you had to be in the real life. have a store, you know, made out of brick and mortar, and have people going from door to door and knocking and giving distributing flyers and tracts and whatnot. And today, well, you need to do the same thing but online. So it's not really a choice that you have of you know of doing social media, or having a social media account. It's how well do you do it, so that you can you can have an impact, like just like we were saying earlier with Rebecca. Okay. So for that to happen, just having a social media and running it just like on a daily basis without any strategy or goal can be, first, time consuming, and second, it's not going to be efficient. You're not going to see the result of your work. So setting up a social media campaign will enable you to really come up with answers that you have to get in order to make your social media campaign impactful, right? So how do I set up a social media campaign? Well, there are numbers of questions that one should ask himself, herself, and respond to them in the most simple and clear way, okay? So first off, we have the goals. So when we're launching a social media campaign, it's because we want to do something, right? It's either we want to have more clients, so we want to generate leads, as we call them. We want to increase our sales because, well, we haven't done so good in the past quarter or the past semester. So we want to maybe increase our sales. We want to simply make our brand more notorious. So we want to reach out many people so that our brand can be out there in their story feed, and generate traffic. So traffic would be not ideally our target, our primary target, but just like a lot of people getting to at least know who we are, you know? So those can be, of course, it's just examples of many campaign goals that we can have, but it's really essential to have your goal, note it down, and then moving on to the next step. So the next step, and this is something that a lot of people overlook when they're creating their social media campaign, but it's very important to put a face on who your customer or client or lead is. Who's your target? Who are you? Who do you want to speak with? All right. So instead of having numbers or some criteria, why not give a face to your target in a profile? So it's called personas in marketing, in digital marketing as well. We create personas. That means people who are willing to buy your product. So we give them a name, gender. We try to guess also their income, their favorite social media, where they like to hang out, their hobbies, etc. These personas, you can either build them because you know your clients, or you can beforehand just send out Google Forms or do a research on who are your clients, so that you can have all these information and then build it. Okay, build a persona. You can have many personas. You can have a young girl who's between 18 and 25 who likes to, I don't know, go to the movies with her friends. That's a persona. And how much is she willing to spend on your product? You know, that's also part of building her persona, you know? So, okay, these personas will see a tool that we could use, an online free tool that we can use to generate them very easily in a few clicks. Then 3, we have to choose the right social media platform. Yes, because if I want to set up a social media campaign, let's say to increase my sales, okay? And I know who my personas are. Well, I have to make sure that I adapt my campaign to LinkedIn and I adapt it to Instagram, because it's not going to be the same way. Even though I have the same information and the same campaign, it's not going to be the same thing on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Not the same language, not the same words that I'll be using either. All right. So there's that as well. Number 4, create and organize a social media platform? Yeah, because like I was saying earlier, there are many ways to run a social media platform. You can either, just post from time to time and whenever you feel like it or you have time, or you can get really organized about it and have a calendar about all the events, upcoming events, or international events, what we call a marketing calendar. Things like, tomorrow is going to be, I don't know, holiday, Easter holiday. Okay, so we may want to post about this event, or it is going to be, I don't know, there's going to be a football, soccer. Match, and it's an important match. So maybe I will talk about that because it's also in line with my brand. So you really need to pick up the events that interest you or are important to your brand and talk about those events as well. And that will be part of your marketing calendar. Okay, so all the things that you do post on your social media platform need to respond to something, right? Of course, it could be news, inspiring quotes, photos, anything that will make your brand even more strong and also close to the people that you're talking with. All right. Number 5, we're going to use and abuse marketing and social tools. Why? Because they help us. Of course, we're not going to use 20 of them, but yeah, we're going to use as many tools as we can so that we can automate things and we can make them easier and just easier to do in a few clicks. So there's a lot of tools, obviously, about content creation. So there are free tools, paying tools, but we'll try to tap on the free tools for now. Audience target and analytics. Okay, so these are tools that help us treat the data, create content, make our brand more visible for everyone. So yeah, tools. Number 6, benchmark and compare with competitors. Well, of course, I mean, if I want to post publications that I'm sure it will reach people at the right time, at the right place, I have to check out my competitors or my partners. What are they doing? When are they posting online? How are they doing it? What type of content? So those information will help me build my strategy. It will help me already have a few information on how to do it for myself. Okay. And number 7, track your performance by reporting regularly. Yeah, because it doesn't mean much if you just create a strategy. Okay, so let's say you've responded to a lot of these questions and you have a clear goal of what you're doing, but you're repeating it over time. Let's say now you're launching a campaign to increase sales and you're doing it just the way you've done it before. Well, it's not going to be efficient. It's not going to work all the time because people evolve, situations evolve, everything around us changes all the time. So we cannot, in this time and age, keep the same strategy all the time. We have to keep the essence of it, the core of it, meaning what do we want to achieve and how do we want to achieve and who do we want to target. But the way that we're going to create the content will have to change inevitably to respond to the new trends, to, maybe sometimes we will reach a moment where people don't want to look at videos anymore or are just tired of reading quotes anymore. So those are trends that you can read about online just by typing digital marketing trends 2021. And then you'll see, okay, well, maybe I need to readjust my strategy. Maybe I need to readjust the way that I'm creating my content because what I think is good and impactful for my leads, for my target, well, is not that much in 2021, So always readjust because it's not a thing that is just there still and just stays there, So that was for the social media campaign. I don't know if you have a question regarding this area here before I move on to my question quests. So if you do have a question about the social media campaign and how to set it up, please feel free to raise your hand or just write it down in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just pursue, and then at the end, we'll have a Q&A session, okay? So if you're not asking the questions now, just make sure to write them down so that you don't forget, so that you ask me at the end of the press. Anything you like, okay? Great, so now we're moving on to the questions quest. I like to call it this because personally, like Faye was saying, I'm a designer. I've studied design in a professional way. That means in a way that responds to the needs of the market, meaning I did not study it in an academic way. So for me to come up from that background and see how the reality of advertising and marketing is, prompted me to create what I call the questions quests, because I believe that whether you're a designer or a marketer or a data analyst or whatsoever, you always have to create relevant questions that will help you, like prompts, like, did I forget about this? Did I forget about that? Questions that will help you cover the whole topic of what you're going after, right? So in this case, I made some questions for the goals. So what do I need to advertise? Just like we were saying with the social media campaign, do I look forward to make my brand more popular, or to sell, or to promote? No, the target, who am I targeting? Is it teenagers, 13 to 18, the Z generation, the Y, X generation, millennials, parents, and so forth? So I really need to know who is my primary target. And I'm saying primary because sometimes even my clients get confused when I ask them, who are you selling your product to? And they're like, well, everyone. We can't be possibly selling to everyone. It doesn't mean that not everyone can buy your product. It only means that it's not your primary target. Example, if I'm selling notebooks, okay, beautiful notebooks with, beautiful design and trendy and whatnot. Well, that notebook, I'm selling it for an ideal target from 18 to 25, okay? So young adults and students who go to the university and who needs a beautiful notebook to write on. Well, if a kid, an 8-year-old kid or a 10-year-old or a senior, a 60-year-old buys my notebook, I'm not going to tell him, no, don't buy it because I'm selling to, teenagers. Of course, people, senior people, or even, children can buy it because it's open for everyone to buy it, but it's not my primary target. Okay, I have to focus on who will bring me the most return on investment. And of course, my product is available for everyone. Right, so then we have the product. On which platform will your service or product reach its audience? So that again comes when you're doing your research. When you're doing your research online and you're seeing, oh, okay, so if I want to connect with 50-year-olds who have positions in the executive and corporate and decision level, so I will have to talk on LinkedIn. And if I want to speak to, the new generation, the young people who are active and constantly on their phone, maybe I'll go to TikTok. So be aware of where your product will sell best. And of course, the call to action is very important because it's all about a button, So the importance of designing an interface, and we have new jobs that we've seen this past few years called UX and UI designer. So UX is the user experience designer. Basically, it's someone who designs how do you manipulate your device? How do you move from a page to another? How do you scroll? Because all those actions that you do will result in you buying or not buying the product online. That is why it's super, super important. And we have also the UI designer. It's called the user interface designer, UI. And his job, her job, is to design the interface, make it look attractive and meaningful to you so that you feel inclined to either share with your friends or go back to that website or buy their product. Okay, so the call to action comes in those lines. It comes in you deciding which verb, which term, which word will be appealing for your potential clients so that they click on the button and they make that transaction. Okay, so very important call to action. In fact, you can run tests. You can do a lot of tests with different designs and, you know, give it to your friends, to your colleagues, to everyone you know, and just see their reaction. It's called A and B tests, but that's another part. Okay, so, and then we have local and international. So local, meaning it must be akin to the local market pricing, for instance. So local means everything that you have to take into consideration to communicate, you know, without hurting anyone or in the best possible way so that the area where you are is connects with your product, you know, connects with what you're saying and feels like, oh, this is for me, you know. So that's the main difference between local and international. I don't know for you in Uganda, in Nigeria, and Kenya, but here sometimes we have huge billboards out in the streets, and we have the advertising for a product or service, and you know, we see a blonde woman with with a man who has blue eyes, and so that's just an example to show you that that's a detail, but it's a detail that counts, because if me as a Moroccan, I can't identify with that person who's using that service or product, well, I won't be necessarily inclined to go for it and buy it, because you know, it doesn't mean a lot to me. It's like they're in Sweden or, you know, in France. So that again, local and international. International, one must pay attention to how the words are translated. If you're doing a website in English, but your first language is, let's say, French, well, when you're doing the translation, you have to be sure that it's accurate and in line with your values. Because if it's not the case, then your product or whatever you're offering will lose a bit of its value, okay? It will lose a bit of its power. So just make sure that the translation is the same. All right, so that was it for my questions quest. If you do have another question or another question you want to add to the question quest, please feel free to raise your hand or write it down in the chat. Okay, so for the tools that I was mentioning earlier, this one, it's not Extensio. Well, Extensio is another tool that is for creating personas, buying personas, but it's not Extensio, this one, it's Hubspot. So if you're familiar with Hubspot, there is a page in the Hubspot website dedicated specifically for creating personas, and it's free. And you just start clicking, build my persona, and then you just type in the age, the income, the gender, the hobbies and whatnot, their profession. And then Hubspot creates a buyer persona for you. All right, so the design is already there, the template is already there. All you have to do is fill in the gaps. So that is one super cool tool that I advise you with to create your personas. All right, and then interacting with your audience at the right place. Okay, so meaning what? Meaning when I'm on a social media platform, there's something to understand, because the brands that communicate on these platforms use it accordingly to where their target is, right? Just like we were saying. So let's say I'm in the automobile industry and I'm a high standard. Okay, so let's say BMW, Mercedes, Audi, those kind of brands. And I want to target potential buyers who have between 24 and 34 years old and who are male. Okay, well, I will find them on Instagram and I will find them on LinkedIn. No? So if we know this, we know that, oh, okay, so this is how I'll have to create my content, at least on Instagram. And that's where I'm sure that I'm going to find my potential clients. All right, so do you see how this works? Sometimes it's niche, it can be a niche, or sometimes it's really industries. When you do the research, of course, this has been created after having done research about it. So when you do your research about your target and you see where they communicate the most, well, you can have a clear idea of how to do it and when to do it. Okay, so here Maven is a classy service like Uber, but for a high standard. So this is how they communicated in Instagram. So another tool to create the content, right? So we've seen how to create the personas, and now how to create the content for social media. You have a very accessible tool called Canva. I'm sure maybe some of you already use it, but it's free and it has, you know, beautiful designs and just easy to click and drag and make your own poster or Instagram post, video presentation, Facebook post, logo, etc. So give it a quick look if you haven't, because it's definitely worth it to create easy and quick content for your social media with using Canva. Another tool is when you have a lot of social media platforms that you need to communicate in. Well, this is an example of our Hootsuite account. So Hootsuite is a tool that enables you to organize all your social media accounts into just one window, because sometimes you have to juggle between log in on LinkedIn and then log in on Twitter and then log in on Facebook and then log in on Instagram and start posting one per one. And it could be really time consuming if you are present on a lot of platforms, right? So this one here enables you to plan. So you can plan your own content for the day that you want, the hour that you want, the time that you want, pardon me. And you can also write different content for each social media platform. So you can adapt it, make the right hashtag for each social media platform, and just monitor everything from here. You can reply to messages that you have from your inbox. You can reply to comments and etc. So it's a very how to say it unites every social media in just one place. Okay, so that's Hootsuite. And once you've done your research and you know who your target is, once you have set up your goals of social media campaign, once you have created your personas and created content online, and you've ran your social media online, well, there's something else that needs to come up right after this step. It's reporting. Reporting enables us to see and measure the impact that our content had online. Okay, so there's a whole science around reporting. There's a lot of tools basically, but we're just going to see how it works. So there's two types of reports. One type is for the ongoing performance report. It's like every week or so. You can choose to do it every week. You can choose to do it every month, just to have an idea of the numbers. How many followers did I get this week? Why did I get so many followers? Did I do an action that prompted more followers? If yes, shall I do it again next month, etc. Okay, and other report is the ad campaign report. So at the end of a campaign, let's say I've boosted my campaign by adding $5 maybe or $10 so that it can spread even wider online. Well, what happened after the end of my campaign? I need to analyze those numbers. I need to see if it worked well. Okay, so let's start with the goals, strategy, and success metrics. We need to check out all these three, all right? We need to check if the overall performance and the campaign results were those that we were waiting. That means, just I was saying, the new followers total engagement, and total website traffic. Yeah, because if I'm on social media and I'm sharing content, at some point, I want that content and whatever people are clicking on to go back to my website, right? I want to direct and drive that traffic to my website where they can buy or learn more or get to use my services online. Okay, so that also accounts. And then we can have a more detailed and comparative KPI and metrics. So KPI, the key parameter indicators. So it could be really everything and anything. The number of posts, the net follower gain or loss, the number of likes per post or just broadly, the post reach, how many people did it reach, the number of comments, of shares, etc. Okay, and the total spent on ads. Yeah, how much money did I spend and what result did I get? So next time, is it worth spending more, spending less? Those are also questions that arise once the report is complete. Fourth, we have the analysis. So if something went wrong, quote, what went wrong? You know, what was good, what was not good? How can I enhance my next social media campaign? Comparison with the competition, yeah, as well. To see, for instance, when I post content online that I think is really important and well-structured and attractive, how many returns do I get? And how many do my competitors get in return? Okay, so that's also something that you can compare, and it's interesting to see the numbers. And of course, the conclusion, what have I learned? Do I have suggestions? And what are my next report goals and objectives? Okay, that also I can learn from what I did and make sure I always tweak my social media campaign so that I can get the best and optimum result possible. All right, so that was for the science of reporting. Again, if you have any question, please feel free to ask. All right, so this is an example of a report that we did for a client back in a couple of years ago. So here we've put all the numbers that we thought were interesting for our clients, meaning how many the reach of the publication, the interactions that they had in the month, how many likes were added on their Facebook page, how many messages did we treat? So this was in part of with our community management service, and how many emails we have sent to potential leads. Okay, and here we have the Facebook analysis. So we have the reach of every content that we have posted. We have its reach, and we can see, oh, okay, you know what? This here, Le Charme de l'Europe, so it's European travel destination because it was a travel agency. Well, this here worked well, so maybe people are more interested by trips to Europe. Okay, here we can see it clearly, 48K for European trips. Here we're talking about Turkey. So Turkey as well was super popular back in the days. Of course, this was before COVID. And we can see also the total of followers in the past, ever since we've created the page, actually. Ever since you created the page, you can also see how many followers you've gained throughout the year or the month. Okay, so this is just a brief example. Of course, you can have reports that are super detailed. You can have some who have just 2-3 pages. It depends on how complicated and how technical your client wants you to get, you know. So yeah, and a very good tool is the Facebook Insights. Again, a lot of people overlook this tool, but it's really, really interesting. The interface is not very inviting, and it looks a bit complicated, but it's not. It really is not. You can create your audience to target when you're running a social media campaign. You can see how many people reacted and their gender and their age. their relationship status. If you're in a business where you connect people through matrimonial services, this will be interesting for you. The education level, if you're a school, for instance. So very interesting information you get from this Facebook Insights tool. Okay, so try to not overlook it. All right, so here I've gave you a bit of info and insights on social media campaign and everything that's surrounding it. Now I want to share with you some key numbers and infos regarding the different social media platforms. And are they good for you? Are you going to want to use them or maybe not? Okay, so starting with Snapchat. We have a few infos here. The global audience of 238 million users. There's 30-minute every day. So 30-minute every day, they use it, right? And they use it 30 times, more than 30 times per day. Snapchat is being used by its users who are 13 to 24 years old. So it's the Z Gen. So here I already have a clear information on whether my target is here or not. Okay, so should I invest in Snapchat or not? Okay, so on Snapchat, you have no likes, no follows, no shares. It's more dedicated for creative minds, positive authenticity. That's why people like to tune in that social media platform. The users are believed to have 1 trillion in spending power. And it's a two-way conversations. So that means you can speak directly to the brand. That also is something interesting to note. If what you're looking for is proximity with your users, then this is an interesting way to do it. And also, this target, 13 to 24, are one of the hardest targets to reach online, offline and online. So Snapchat is a nice way to do that. You have a quick retail pop-up ads. That means when I'm looking at a video and I want to go to another video, well, I have the pop-up ad. So that really stays in the user's mind throughout the day. Young audience, like we were saying, and creative communication. Okay, so this gives you like a broad idea of whether you should invest in Snapchat or not. Okay, Facebook, of course, everybody knows Facebook. It's 1.5 billion users. 60% internet users, so that is huge. That's more than half of internet users are on Facebook. Okay, everyone loves using Facebook, and a lot of product discovery are made on Facebook. This also, of course, I'm showing you this as a result of a research conducted by Hootsuite.com. So Hootsuite, the tool that I shared with you earlier. So the product discoveries, if you are looking to launch a new product, then Facebook should be one thing to consider. And we have both professional and private users on Facebook, and 51% of total ad spent worldwide. So that is where the money for the ads are mostly spent, on Facebook. Okay, so yeah. Key infos. Instagram. So Instagram, as we know it, sells us dreams and beautiful images. So 1 million, the same thing, 1 million users monthly active. They spend almost 1 hour daily browsing. We have teenagers and young adults mostly. Pretty much the same ratio. We have 51 for female and 48% for male. So both are active on Instagram. 83% of users discovered new products and services as well through Instagram. So Instagram is also a big player on products. You can sell your products on Instagram as well, and is the second most used after Facebook. Okay, the stories are also a huge thing in Instagram. Daily Instagram stories are about 500 million. So that is huge. If you have an interesting story, you should definitely launch it on Instagram. Okay, last but not least, we have LinkedIn. LinkedIn is for the more serious users, I'll say. People who are more interested in facts, in news. So we'll have professionals, college graduates, rich and wealthy. 44% of users have a 75K salary. So that also we'll find a lot of investors there. And sponsored updates. Yeah. So you can also sponsor, but in fact, as they mention here, since the users are rich and wealthy, the ads on LinkedIn are a bit pricey. So it's not the same thing as Facebook. You'll have to spend much more money to be able to get your ad out there in a broadly manner. And of course, it's where professionals meet. And 50% of college graduates. So that is huge as well. So if let's say I want to sell my product on LinkedIn because my target is exactly professionals and college graduates and the rich and wealthy. Well, I might use this thing here where professional meets. That means, going through with a podcast or writing articles and then having a call to action go into my website. So it's not the same thing as Facebook where you can just sponsor. Here, the sponsoring of the ads is pretty pricey. So you can go another way around, and instead of selling directly, you can just share your knowledge to professionals who are looking for that knowledge, and then go from there and work your way around to get them on your website. That's just an idea. Okay, so just a quick recap. This is a lot of text, but it just recaps pretty much everything we saw and compares between Snapchat and Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. Of course, I will be more than happy to share this presentation with you so that you could be able to read it when you have a few minutes, and if you are more interested in comparing all those social media platforms in order to do the best possible choice. Okay, so I'm all open for a Q&A session. If you have any questions regarding everything we just saw, well, feel free. Now is the time.
I know there was a first question from Lynette during the presentation about Hootsuite and if it was free to use. I know there are features, but yeah.
So Hootsuite, I believe there is a free tryout, and I guess you have 1 or 2 accounts that you can put in, and then of course if you want to upgrade premium, then you'll have more streams available.
Yeah, and I'll add that as Doudou Tech, we use Buffer as an automatic scheduling post. So there's quite a few different services. So maybe it's worth doing some research to find out which platform is the best for your needs too. Just like all the social media platforms themselves.
True. Very true.
Cool. I hope that answers your question, Lynette. Does anyone else have questions about the platforms that Farah was talking about, or how you can use these tools?
Or was it informative? Was it what you were expecting to learn about marketing, digital marketing and social media, or maybe too technical?
Not really. It was technical, but social media is tricky in that, okay, like for the organization that I run, we use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn actively, those 4. But okay, we use the 4 because that's where we can get our potential users, not users, but people who can be customers, and also people who can be people who should know about our brand. Then LinkedIn is targeted for potential partners, investors, and also gaining traffic and visibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's, you know, using the four for exactly what you said is very interesting, because if your goal is to gain visibility, then yeah, feel free, really try to use as much platforms as you can, because that works well for the SEO. That means when when people will type in Google or, you know, any other search engine, the probabilities that your brand will pop up is greater, because you have been you are present in all those platforms, so it makes it easier for people to find you. But so that's the first, you know, that's one way, that's a strategy. A second strategy would be, okay, who am I really interested by getting, you know, by connecting with, and then I'll just invest all my time on that specific social media platform, so that I'm sure that I have some results, some concrete results. Okay, so that's maybe, instead of going on all four and dispatching your energy on all four social media platforms, if I really do want to connect with, let's say, partners, I will make it on LinkedIn. I will work on LinkedIn, create content, write articles, publish some research, and try to also be active in the groups. Let's not forget about the groups in LinkedIn. Super interesting to connect with potential partners, colleagues, even future hirees. So yeah, there's pretty much two strategies. Either I focus on all of them and I gain visibility and as much traffic as possible, or I focus on one platform and get what I really want from it.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I think we have another question. Can we go through the persona creating app? Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to share my screen with you. Ooh, okay, what did I do? Okay, I'll just re-share my screen just to show you the. So when you're on Hubspot, it's Hubspot/make, and then my persona, make dash. Oh no, not dash. Make. I forgot about that, but this one, this little guy here. Okay, and there you are. Make my persona. Just click, and then build my persona. So you can give it a name. I can say Eloise. I can give her a face to Eloise. Let's say Eloise is a senior. Okay, next. How old is Eloise? I would say maybe around 50, yeah, 45, 54. What is the highest degree or level of school your persona has completed? Let's say some college or no degree. What industry do they work in? Maybe healthcare. What's the size of their organization? Between 1 and 10 employees. What is their job title? Etc. etc. So I think you get the drill here. You just continue on building your persona, and then you can humanize your target, your user or your potential buyer, client, whatsoever. Okay, or even partner. If you're looking to connect with partners or investors or whatnot, you can also humanize them and say, okay, if you're working with a team, everyone will have a clear idea of who you want to connect with. Okay. So that was that for the persona. Thank you for the question. My pleasure.
I think we can take one more question from Farah about today's presentation, and then we'll need to wrap it up for the day. Who wants to ask a last question?
I don't want to ask a question, but I just want to get something clear.
Of course.
Sure.
Okay. Yes, you mentioned we can use Snapchat, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You've shown us all, but it's a let us pick up which one works best. It doesn't mean we should work on all, right? Maybe we just need to choose which one we think we can have our target, our customer, and then we work with it. So one can be okay, not so.
Yes, yes, exactly. Because you know, the amount of work that I will be doing, let's say on Snapchat, will be consuming all my time. You know, like all the time that I used to give out to posting on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Snapchat. Well, I will only dedicate it to Snapchat, meaning I'll have more interesting content created because I'll focus more. I'll spend more time creating creative videos, stories, catchy stories. All that energy will go into one platform. So I may start to develop a brand on Snapchat that is stronger than if I had focused on all four and just posting on all four, which is not a bad thing. It's also a good thing. It just depends on your strategy and priorities. Because today you can be okay, well, you know what? My main priority is to connect with the youth on Snapchat. So I will work on that, create content, and just focus on that. But then in a few months, I want to be able to generate traffic to my website. So then I will go on all four and dispatch the content with minor tweaking and adaptations to each platform, and then it will work as well. It depends on what do you really want now to happen. And thank you for the question, Jane. Thank you,
Yes.
Sophia. I appreciate you. Oh, and thank you, Maria, too.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Farah, and thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. I hope you all learned something new that you can bring to your projects or your businesses. And don't forget to check out this video afterwards if you want to revisit the presentation, and we'll send you the presentation from Farah as well. You can also visit her company's website, Agence Fada. We'll share it with you guys in the WhatsApp group, but they have a lot of other resources that you might find useful as well in your project. So be sure to share that with you. So thank you so much, Farah, today.
Thank you for having me. It was great. Thank you so much all for your questions and participation. I really enjoyed it.
So much, Farah.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Maria too. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Welcome. All right. Thank you, Manez. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. And thank you, Faith.